On August 29, 1842, was signed a treaty to end the First Opium War. China had to make severe concessions to Great Britain. The words that follow are not exactly those appearing in the treaty, but depict what was agreed in the negotiations. His Majesty the Emperor of China agrees to permit British merchants to carry their transactions with whatever persons they please. Moreover, His Majesty the Emperor of China cedes to Her Majesty the Queen of Great Britain the island of Hong Kong. The following paragraph reproduced the words used by the China Prime Minister in the recent conference on China-UK trade. The two countries have agreed that their companies should make breakthroughs and progress in areas such as high-speed rail and nuclear power. Moreover, China is willing to not just participate in, but also to buy shares in, and even to control, Britain's nuclear power construction projects. The British side is open to this. Let's see now the TV shot where the China Prime Minister said it.
英方的核电建设项目，英方持开放态度。
Of course, there are not any British territorial concessions implied on those agreements, but for a non-British observer as this writer is, the deal is hard to understand. Those words may mean that Britain would be open to accede to conditions that imply yielding sovereignty on an essential field, the national management of energy. The agreement between UK and China EDF can have severe impacts on the cost of electricity. That's because the terms of the contract establish that the British government will ensure the suppliers a price that is roughly double to what British people are paying now. Power from the new Hinkley C power generator will be too expensive, the boss of one of the UK's biggest energy consumers warned. Jim Ratcliffe told the BBC that UK manufacturers would find the price unaffordable. His words were, "Forget it, nobody in manufacturing is going to pay near £95 per megawatt hour." An investigation on the projected deal was launched on December 18, 2013 by the European Commission Competition Directorate. Here we see the European Union press release on the in-depth investigation. Commission Vice President Joaquin Almunia, in charge of competition policy, said it is a complex measure of an unprecedented nature and scale. The Commission, therefore, needs to investigate thoroughly its impact on the UK and the European Union internal energy markets. During the in-depth inquiry, the Commission will analyze whether the measure involves state aid, in the meaning of the European Union rules, and, in the affirmative, whether it is compatible with common European Union rules. Hinkley Point C nuclear subsidy plan, queried by European Commission. Officials doubt claims of market failure, and fear UK will start a subsidy race. The European Commission has started an investigation into UK plans to subsidise the construction and operation of Hinkley Point C nuclear power station in Somerset, and a challenge to the government's plans to overhaul Britain's creaking energy infrastructure. On the day royal assent was finally given to the coalition's controversial Energy Act, the European Union's executive arm expressed doubts that British ministers could justify state aid to nuclear, which it estimated could reach £17 billion. The European Commission warned of the risk of a subsidy race between member states. The Commission therefore needs to investigate thoroughly its impact on the UK and the European Union internal energy markets, and is requesting all interested parties to submit their observations. But there has been speculation in Brussels that the Commission has made up its mind that the Hinkley move is in effect an unfair subsidy, with the only question being what kind of changes, or sanctions, it may demand or impose on Britain. Günther Oettinger, the European Union's Energy Commissioner, warned last month that the 35-year subsidy regime may be a problem, while earlier describing the UK nuclear project in an unguarded moment, as Soviet in style. The financial support for EDF and its Chinese partners includes a £10 billion loan guarantee, plus plus an inflation-linked strike price of £92.50 per megawatt-hour for 35 years, twice the current price for electricity in Britain. More reviews from the press. Hinkley Point. Nuclear power plant gamble worries economic analysts. The government's agreement could prove to be economically insane and hugely costly to consumers, city analysts have warned. Analysts at stockbroker Liberum Capital said the tie-up with France's EDF will make Hinkley Point the most expensive power station in the world. Having considered the known terms of the deal, we are flabbergasted that the UK government has committed future generations of consumers to the costs that will flow from this deal, the analysts said. Is it a good idea to allow China a stake in UK nuclear? It is 57 years to the day since the Queen threw a lever to start electricity flowing from the world's first civil nuclear power plant at Calder Hall in Cumbria. If you had told any of the dignitaries present that day that Britain would one day surrender control of its nuclear industry to foreign powers, they would have thought you were mad. But we have long got used to the idea that Britain is no longer an industrial powerhouse. Even accepting the title alternatives of power, a question arises now. The question is, why? Why should Britain accept such deal, if so many drawbacks are perceived in it? Why then, if it might be unacceptable to the industry, questionable by the partners, expensive for consumers, and dependent on heavy subsidies? Like tides that every 12 hours come and retire, history shows how nations' supremacies also grow and fall. China had once to make concessions to Britain, but would now be able to take control on part of Britain's nuclear energy. At this point ends with an interrogation mark, the first part of what we call, on opium and plutonium. In the second part, that we are processing to upload soon, we'll try to find an explanation for the questions that appeared in this first part.